Welcome back to the TraderVision 2020 tutorial video series. Today's session will be getting started, getting you off to a good first step. My name's Ed Carter, and along with my partners Rick Sadler and Doug Campbell, we're proud to bring you the TraderVision 2020 software. In today's session, we'll talk about the layout and setup of TraderVision, the main menu, and setting up your options or preferences. And after that, you should be well on your way to getting started using TraderVision. So let's get started. As you saw last time, when you open TraderVision by double-clicking the desktop icon or by running it from your Start menu, you get basically this look. This is the initial installation, what TraderVision looks like. At this point, there are no styles applied, so it is a basic white background with gray highlight application. The main organization of it is in Windows and then widgets. So this is the main window, and initially after installation, all of the widgets by default are installed, opened up, just so that you're aware that they're there. And the controls are somewhat like most other Windows applications you might be aware of. The red X to close the application, the box to maximize the application, and the underline there to minimize the application. This is the main window, but using the View New window, you can open up what we call an extended view window. And with an extended view window, you can drag it off to another monitor, you can move other widgets to it, and so forth. Within any window, whether it's extended or the main window, you can move widgets around. So you can stack them up, put them side by side, put 3 of them at the bottom and 1 at the top, or 2 at the top side by side and 1 at the bottom, or 4 at the bottom, however you want to organize things. As I said, you can do the same thing within an extended view window, and then you can drag that off to a different monitor or leave it side by side with a different application or whatever you'd want to do. For example, you might want to open up 2 copies of the trade log widget and have them side by side, just as an example, side by side. That way you could compare 2 trades. You could have one trade open in one copy of it on the left hand side and a different trade open in the right hand side copy of trade log. And that way you could compare 2 trades that possibly you're considering taking and make a intelligent decision about which one you like better. But that's just an example. The next thing I want to go through here is the main menu. As you can see at the top, File. What File does is it allows you to do a manual database backup, do a manual database restore, or to quit the program, which is the same thing as the red X in the upper right. This is very similar to most other applications. So for the manual backup, you click manual backup. It asks you to select where on your computer or where on the internet you would like to store this manual backup and what you would like to call this file. And once you select a name, you can just click save. It gives you a message that the backup process was started, and 1 second later the backup process was completed. That's because this is a new installation and there is essentially very little data in this application. However, even when you have it full of trades, it should be a very fast process. The second menu item is View, and you have seen this before. We just click New Window to open up an extended window, and you can have as many of these extended windows as you want. You can keep them on multiple monitors, and the program will remember where you like to store these things, so that every time you open up TraderVision, it restores them to the place that they were when you closed the application. Under the widget, excuse me, under the widgets menu, you have each of the widgets that we can open. The dashboard, which basically gives you an overview of the program. Well, I'll go through each of those. I guess we can do that now. So the dashboard gives you a snapshot look for all of your accounts what the current situation is, what trades are open. If there were a bunch of trades, they would each have their own bar within this graph. The pie shows you what percentage of your account has been allocated to trades, and are all those trades long or some of them short, and how much is remaining as cash that's open. Just gives you quick stats. You can then look at your performance. It defaults to the last 30 days, but you could look at 2 weeks, 1 day, a year, 6 months, whatever you want a quick snapshot look at. This will give you that information. And the open trades list at the bottom would be all the trades that you currently have open. Double clicking on any of them or highlighting them and clicking open trade, either one of those will open up the trade within trade log so that you can see the details behind that trade. Let's see, the next widget that we have is goals, where you would plan your goals. Again, this has already been had some data put into it. When you open up let's see if I can find one that's not planned. Of course I can't. Okay, there we go. So this is what you'll see the first time you open the goals for a particular account. It tells you that no goals have been selected for the account, and if you click create a goal, it will come up with some information. It will tell you the account balance, and then you have to set your goal balance. It comes up to weekly, but you can plan this on a monthly basis. And again, that goal balance might be, if we start with 100,000, that might be 125,000 would be a goal for after the first year, or make 25% during the year. I'm not going to make additional monthly deposits, and if that is my plan to make 25% in the first year, I need to make 1.88% profit per month. And my plan to reach that goal is currently way too low. I'm going to come up 20% short, and that's because I haven't put in any plan at all. And we'll do that next. So then you would then fill in all the information related to your average win size, the average loss size, trades that you're going to do per month, and the average win rate or win ratio, wins to losses, that you would have. When you get those numbers correct, you will have probably a positive number here, a slightly positive number, not ridiculously higher than this, but slightly higher, to give yourself just a little bit of cushion. And then the last thing you end up planning here is the size of your trade. So what percent of your account are you willing to risk on any individual trade? And when that's all done, you save your goals, and it will save them for a particular day. So we'll go through that in more depth in another video, but that's the basis behind the goal planning. Whoops, I'm sorry. Let's go to trade log next. Again, this is an open account that I've done several demos on here, and so there are some trades here, but this would come up as for a new account, would come up as a blank log with no trades planned or executed in it yet. And here you would either double click on an existing record or hit the plus sign to add a new record to be able to go in and see the details of a trade. And I'll just do one of them here. This is one that has no ticker yet. And this is what it would look like. And we'll go through this in depth in another video, but let's just leave it like this for now. Shows you all sorts of information. It's too much of an overload for this video, but we will come back to that in the next, in a video soon. Performance, again, there have been no completed trades in this application, and so we have a flat line performance because there's been no trades. But this database has existed for about a week, and you can see that the SPY has been, which is what this account is comparing itself to, has been on fire for that week, and therefore it's an almost vertical line. In addition to seeing overall performance about the account, you would see all of your trades down here as red or green lines, depending on whether they were wins or losses. And then, of course, you have a bunch of reports that come canned with the application that will break all of your trades down so that you can do some serious analysis, or if you want to, you can write your own reports here and save them. That perhaps you have a very particular or different way that you want to slice and dice your trade data to get better information. You can certainly do that here. You can change the periods you're looking at. You can change the data fields that you're considering. Account Manager, which we will cover in the next video, is where all of your account records and transactions are recorded. It will also show you your open positions and your open orders, and allow you to do some editing or adding of records so that you can keep your TraderVision account in sync with your brokerage account. Chart, as the name implies, just provides you charting functionality. You have volume at the bottom. You have all of the candles. It defaults to asking for the last 100 candles, but you can put in any number you want. So if you want to see, all of the history for Microsoft, put in a number like 20,000, and it will pull up the data points for the last 20,000 candles. We do save that data, so you will have that available to you if for some reason that's what you want to go that far back to analyze something. Right-clicking or adding indicator here gives you a whole list of indicators that you can add. Again, we'll get into that more in a specific charting video. And then the last widget is the watch list, and as the name implies, you would be able to add tickers here, and it would give you some information about the ticker. You can see the last 5 candles. You can see where it's at within its 52-week range, what the market cap is, earnings per share, dividend yield, next earnings announcement if that's known within the database, etc. So that is the basic layout of the widgets. The next is the Tools menu, where you can import trades. Again, you can import it from a brokerage, or you can import it from a version 1 database, TraderVision version 1 database. We'll have other options here as well if you want to import it from a CSV file or something of that nature that's just not been added yet, but that will be added soon. The only thing that I will caution you on is if you were to import, for example, a bunch of trades from your brokerage, those trades will probably have very sketchy data. So they will only have something like the date, time, price, ticker, and quantity of shares traded. And that is quite a far cry from all the information that is automatically recorded or that you record about a trade in TradeLog. And so down the road, for comparison purposes, to make the trades you import from another source, like a brokerage, match up with the trades you've also manually planned within TraderVision, you're going to have to clean up or add additional data to those imported trades. That's just something to keep in mind. Options we'll come back to in a moment. Registration we went through in the last video, but this is where you would go, for example, if you wanted to deactivate your license so that you could install TraderVision on a new computer and activate it there. And the last, the Help menu. This is where you have a link to the tutorials video page, to the user manual video page, to the posting of a support ticket, which sends an email to me, and lastly, the about screen. What this will tell you is what version of TraderVision you currently have installed, and that brings us to another issue. This is important information if you're requesting support, so that I know that you're keeping up to date, and we have clean data to work with. It's impossible for me to support 50 different versions for people who, some people update on a very infrequent basis. Some people do it once every month or whatever. I would recommend that you stay up to date as much as possible because we are doing bug fixes as well as new feature releases, and you want to have that available to you. That brings us to doing updates. Anytime there's an update available, and I can't just I can't dummy it up right now, but there will be a yellow banner that stretches across the top of the main window, and it will say there's a new version available. Give you the version name and link. If you click that link, it will open your browser and automatically start the download, exactly like happened when you click the download link from your original purchase email. So that takes care of the basics of the menus. Let's next go into options. Options is where you control most of the setup for the program. So it comes up to the General Appearance tab, and what this allows you to do is to specify a style. I'm just going to go to Copper Dark, which is a dark style that a lot of people prefer. If you click that and click Apply, you can see it changes to a dark color. In the near future, you will be able to choose from a set of color palettes within the style. So there will be, dark blue, dark green, dark, pink or red, dark orange, and so forth. If you prefer darks and one of those colors other than black, and there will be a light style if you prefer one of those color sets in the light color. The next general appearance option you have is you can do scaling of the application. So keep an eye on the fonts and widget sizes here. I scale to 1.4 times scale. You can see the fonts all got larger. If for some reason you want to scale down, you can scale down and it gets smaller. I'll just leave it at 1.0 for now. The next thing is there's currently 3, but there will soon be a 4th alert sound that you can set. So you can set an alert for entries and pick from a preloaded set of, I don't know, there's 20 sounds in there, I guess, something like that. And there's a little play button next to each one of those, so you can choose a different sound for each type of alert. The second type of alert is for exits, so those are for your targets. And the third set of alerts is for your stops. And for each of those, if you have set alerts on a trade and they execute, you will get a little pop-up window just like that backup window pop-up that we saw earlier, and it will say trade whatever, trade MSFT has hit its entry alert of whatever the value is. And it will sound the sound. It will sound the sound that you have chosen. It will play that sound, and that will give you that pop-up. Same thing for the other types of alerts as well. The next section is planning and execution settings. This is kind of the guts of the settings, and let's talk about this for a moment. The first main section is how you do your position sizing. In other words, what basis you want the application to use to recommend the number of shares for you to buy. The first type, and the type I personally use, is the maximum dollar loss that you're able to accept down to the stop price. By keeping this the same across trades, that means that in all of my trades I'm risking just about the same amount of dollars per trade. What that does is it takes the difference between the entry price I specify and the stop price I specify, and it divides some dollar value that I'm willing to risk, so let's say $250, divided by the difference between the entry and the stop, and that number tells me how many shares to buy. The second option that you have is to do position sizing based on total dollars per position. So for example, my partner Rick likes to have all of his positions the same size. He might do, let's just say all positions will be $10,000. So if I select that radio button, it will then give him a recommendation on how many shares to buy based on whatever dollar amount, let's say 10,000, divided by the entry price that he has specified. If that's $10, it'll say buy 1,000 shares. The third way to calculate shares or do position sizing is based on volatility. This was a request by one of our users. This is kind of complicated. The manual has all of this information, but basically it uses the average true range as a measure of volatility over whatever period you specify. Maybe you want to look at the average true range over 10 days. And it will divide the dollar value that you say you're willing to risk by that average true range. However, there's an additional, it's called multiple, but you might want to call this your level of aggression. So I'm willing to accept the average true range risk for the last 10 days. That's how I want to divide up the shares to, or divide up my risk dollars based on that. However, I'm feeling aggressive, so I'm an aggressive trader, so I'm willing to risk 1.5 times that ATR. Or I'm feeling very conservative. I'm only willing to risk half of that ATR value. It's a difficult concept to just orally explain, but I've got 6 examples that I work through in the manual that will hopefully make that very well understood. But basically it's using the average volatility of a stock to tell you how many shares to buy. So a more volatile stock will tell you to buy fewer shares, a less volatile stock will tell you to buy more shares, and then you can modify that by your level of aggression. Are you willing to accept more risk than the average ATR or less risk than the average ATR? And the math and the formula is explained in the manual. The last thing on this page is how do we want to look at the reward portion of a reward risk calculation. Some people say I want to look at evaluate all trades to the first reward or the first target, to my first exit. Some people say, no, I take my first exit early in a trade. I want to book some profits so that I'm more working on house money. So a true measure of that trade is really to only look at the, to calculate the reward based on the second exit that I plan. Or maybe that's the third or fourth or fifth, or you can use any number you want. That's one way to look at it. So you can either say I want to look at all of it all the time. I want to look at the first exit, or I want to look at the second exit because I take my first exit early, and that's not a true measure of what the reward for a trade is. Another thing that you can do is use the all setting, which is just below 1 on the dial here. The all setting would then consider all of your exits that you plan. So for trades where you plan only 1 exit, it will plan the reward based on 1 exit. If you have 2, it will consider both exits when planning out the reward to measure against your risk. If you have 25 planned exits for a trade, then it will consider all 25 when looking at the reward versus the risk that you have. So that's what you want to set there. Under the backup tab, this is a new feature of Trader Vision. We do automated daily backups, and you can specify how many you want to keep and where you want to keep them. It comes defaulting to 30, but you can say, well, 30 is too many. I never want to go back 30 days. Perhaps you only want to save 10 backups, and so it will keep the most 10 recent daily backups. You can specify to put these things anywhere on your local computer, on a network, if you have a network computer, or out on the internet if you have a cloud-based location, such as you having a Google Drive or having a Microsoft OneDrive or maybe a Dropbox location. You can specify those locations and it will store them there. What it will do is, in this particular case, I have specified 30, so on the 30, it will record 30 daily backups. On the 31st day, it will then overwrite the oldest version with a new one. So it will keep a rolling 30 days worth of backups. You'll be able to go back any length of time up to 30 days. The remainder of the options that you can set are all going to be the same, and they are basically set to enable brokerage connection. So you would click whether it's connected or not. Each broker will give you a username or an account name. They may have different terminology. It will give you a password or allow you to select your own password for accessing that account to do online trading. And then you would click to check the connection. And it's going to be the same, as I said, across all brokerages. And what those will be allowed to do is to get you real-time data from those brokerages, allow you to trade those accounts from within TraderVision, and also allow us to, for example, with the Trade or TradeHawk, to pass trades through to TradeHawk that they can trade against your account. That is basically all of the setup that I wanted to cover in this session. With that done, you have basically done all of the setup that you need to do. In our next video, we will go ahead and talk about the account setting, or setting up your accounts, and how to manage the account records within those accounts. So I want to thank you for your attention, and hope this second video has got you going here on this first day, and we look forward to working with you in the future. If you do need to reach me for any reason, I'm always available at either of these email addresses, ed@tradervision2020.com or support@tradervision2020.com. And of course, through the application, you can click Submit Ticket from the Help menu at the top, and that will send me an email as well. So I want to thank you for your attention, and hope this second video has got you going here on this first day, and we look forward to working with you in the future.